Aloha, my name is Leo Hiro. Welcome back to our discussion of leadership principles using role models. So, you're young and you're aspiring to leadership. At my age, 55 and under is young. And you know when I most realize this? It's when I'm playing soccer against you youngsters. Never mind though, you can still aspire to leadership regardless of age. Just don't act like an adolescent, and especially when we're playing soccer. However, enjoy the beautiful game. I do. So, what is aspiration? Well, it's probably best understood by what it requires. Taking action to achieve something that you strongly desire. For leadership, though, it takes more. It takes passion. And what is passion? Passion is a stronger driver towards achievement. Passion towards leadership means you unleash all of your drive to achieve leadership, to tackle leadership challenges, deal with the intrigues, stay motivated, and most important, passion puts you to work. Passion changes your life. Passion fuels you to create change and even transformation. Chesty in leading Marines in battle, and Amelia leading women into the field of aviation as pilots by her example. However, their leadership principles didn't just pop up. They were developed and preceded by action steps taken during their formation. In Chesty's case, he left VMI to go where the guns were, to Haiti, and other battlefields for reasons we'll discuss. So, have you identified and are you taking action towards achieving your leadership aspirations? Don't know? Or want to validate? Well, use these two segments to assist you either way. We proceed to our opening clip to hear Chesty say,
"War is not a natural act."
In war, Chesty saw the good, the bad, and the extremely ugly. He knew even Marines had to overcome their fear to fight in battle. He understood the nature of combat from the get-go and how to get them to do that. In Chesty's first recorded encounter, his supply train had turned a corner in the Haitian jungle, and Chesty saw a group of rebels. Unhesitatingly, he drew his weapon and led the way in a charge of his local constabulary unit. You can imagine him saying, "Charge!" They just reacted, and they charged. The Marine Corps recognized Chesty's leadership ability and assigned him to training commands during his rotations, where he is credited with training a significant number of Marine Corps officers for the Pacific Campaign in World War II. Understanding the very nature of the field within which you aspire to leadership is critical.
So, you're an aspiring Marine. You want to be a fellow warrior? You might think I'm here to brag about my heroics, about all the medals I won in combat. Well, I'm not. All those medals belong to my fellow Marines. I am here because you aspire to leadership in the Corps. There's no secret. Leadership is earned when you create, sustain, and preserve a bond with your non-coms and fellow Marines.
Here, Chesty's insight is significant. He begins with an admonition. When you look to him as a role model, don't do it because he's the most decorated Marine in the Marine Corps history. He credits his awards to the Marines he led, where in fact every award singled out his leadership of the Marines he led. To Chesty, the key to successful leadership is based on the relationship and bonding that takes place between leaders and their personnel. That's Chesty's cornerstone for realizing leadership aspirations. Part of the reasons behind that is he listened and absorbed stories about Stonewall Jackson's leadership principles provided by Civil War veterans. Stonewall had a similar vision and practice. Chesty joined the Marines as an enlisted man, giving him first-hand experience in their ranks, and he understood the wisdom of their inputs towards battle situations. He practiced this principle to his last promotion to general by having his sergeant major pin on his star, his last call to arms and retirement, Marine. So several take-home points. Who will you be leading? How will you gain an understanding of how to build relationships and bond with those personnel? How can you recognize their accomplishments for success?
When it comes to trust, you must put the care of your Marines ahead of yourself. Your Marines must come first. This sacred principle must be hammered into every junior officer in your command.
Here we have a Chesty paradigm. Your personnel eat first, you eat last. He went even further. He ensured what they ate was the best available. In Korea, he checked to make sure his men had an extra pair of dry socks, as the ones they were issued were prone to moisture and subsequent freezing in the sub-zero winter temperatures of Korea. So, attitude check. Do you think leaders are superior in some way to their personnel? Chesty makes his views very clear. A feeling of superiority is a misguided attitude with very negative consequences. It creates distrust. Coming to the realization about the value of this leadership principle is not enough. Putting it into practice once again takes us into the realm of understanding who it is you will be leading, and within your field, what putting your personnel means and how to do it. Do you know? What can you do during your formative years, and with whom can you practice your acquisition of putting people first and yourself last and feel good about it?
Pay attention to the minutest details. Details save lives and achieve success.
The dry socks in Korea also serves as an example for attention to detail. Chesty put his demands into practice for those socks through inspections. Consider the following. In the fog of a battle, every Marine has to perform their task. Every weapon has to work. Every detail of movement has to prove achievable. And where it is not, every Marine has to understand what the overall objective is and fill in the inevitable gaps that can and will occur. Developing skills to pay attention to detail during formative young years is probably not the norm. Just ask your parents about the order in your room, or your teacher in terms of attention to detail in your homework in your classes. Those demands are actionable steps which can assist in attending to detail and habituating yourself to them.
Be courageous. Assume risks. You can't ask your Marines to take risks if you're not willing to share in those risks.
We end this segment with this clip because in Chesty's case, in battle, assumption of risk can determine life, death, individual, group, victory, defeat, leadership demands, and ultimately the cause. As an officer in the Corps, leadership means asking Marines to assume risk under your leadership, which can result in death, where your decisions may mean the difference between victory or defeat. And further, you are asking each Marine to assume that risk and play a critical role for the benefit of the group. Ultimately, the cause, the nation's cause, which they have passionately embraced. Chesty simply says, to make this happen, a leader has to share in that risk. And as we'll learn, he means by fighting in the front lines with the Marines being led. He aligns it with courage and character. Character being, who are you when no one is watching? So what action steps can you take in developing skills towards assumption of risk within a group? Well, assess yourself within your peer group. Identify risk situations that come up in the group. What drives are there towards risky behavior? What role do emotions play in regards to assumption of risk, keeping in mind that during adolescence, emotions often trump objectivity, as objectivity is still developing. Can you bring objective considerations into the discussion with your peers? And in the final assessment, what happens? Continue to develop objective thinking in risk assessment until it trumps emotion. In the Marines, remember, many are youngsters, still developing objectivity. You have to lead the way and lead by example. So, mahalo for watching, and stay tuned for Amelia's offering in pursuit of leadership in a field. So we'll end in a way many Marines end their day, saying, good night, Chesty, wherever you are, and watch over your beloved Marines and aspiring leaders who go to whatever their equivalent is of where the guns go. We'll be back. Aloha.